What's going on, everyone? Welcome into another episode of Luttie's Look Back. My name is Nick Luttrell. We're going to be talking about a lot of college basketball on today's show. Baseball, softball coming up soon. We'll talk a little bit about softball. But we'll start my show how we always do with my three big things from the big event from the past weekend. That was Arkansas men's basketball, their win over Mississippi State, 88-68. They did what they were supposed to do on the road. You see the three things behind me. The first big thing, no Carter Knox, no DJ Wagner, no problem. The Razorbacks got a pretty dominant win. They didn't need two of their role players in the lineup. We'll talk about that. My second big thing is, I can get excited about this win, but Mississippi State is just, they didn't seem like they were that good of a team. I kind of knew that going into it. And after watching the game, I felt like they're just not a good team. And I think Arkansas is. They definitely are. But I'm not going to, do double backflips, as Coach Cal would say, because they just beat Mississippi State. That's my second big thing. My third big thing, and the final of my points, is the future that scary? Yeah, is the future that scary with the injuries? Sorry, I had to read my own writing there for a second. Yes and no. And I'll explain that a little bit coming up later. Let's go back to something that makes a little bit more sense, and that is this game specifically. And talking about these injuries, they didn't have Carter Knox out with a knee. They didn't have Carter Knox and DJ Wagner. One was out with an ankle, one was out with a knee. I don't know what was going on. I don't know where that came from. Maybe it was the end of the Kentucky game. That's the only thing I can gather. We haven't got a lot of news from Coach Cal. When we talked to him in the post-game press conference after this Mississippi State game, he said they're questionable for their next game Tuesday night against LSU, so we'll see. But the good news is, that aside, they didn't need those guys. And it was against Mississippi State, but they had no problem getting past a Mississippi State team that isn't amazing this season, but was projected to be an NCAA tournament team at the beginning of the year. So they still have the potential to be a good team. They're not playing like it right now in this season, and they especially did not play like it against the Razorbacks. But they have the potential to be a good team. And Arkansas just had no problem with them without those two guys. And a big guy who did step up in this game, the freshman Springdale native, shout out Springdale, Arkansas, my hometown, Isaiah Seeley, 6 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists, 3 blocks. 3 blocks for a guard, a tall guard at that. And he just came in and played with intensity. I know that stat line isn't amazing. 6 points is not going to be like, hey, he's the hero that won the Razorbacks the game. But without him, they don't win by 20 points, that's for sure. They probably win by single digits. I'd say he was plus 12 when he was out there, something like that. I can't remember the exact statistic on what he was, but he made a difference when he was out there on the court. And they just needed a body to get in there, to get some minutes, and to play like he wanted to be there. Because that was their problem that I mentioned on the show a week ago, was it didn't seem like Arkansas wanted to be there playing in that game against Kentucky. And so why not bring out a guy who's only played up till this past game? Before this past game, it only played 7 minutes of SEC basketball in his life. And you throw him into this game, and he performs at a pretty high level. He had one play that I was like, what are you doing? Are you stupid? But besides that play where he kind of just threw it up, and I was like, that looks like me playing pickup basketball, which I should never have to say that about a Razorback basketball player. I should never have to say that. But besides that one play, Isaiah Seeley was really good and did what he needed to do to help Arkansas win this game. So he stepped up. Nick Pringle had 11 rebounds. I think I called out Nick Pringle once or twice before on this show, and just him being non-existent a little bit. But he was in this game. He made an impact. Sure, he had 3 turnovers as well, but he had the 11 rebounds. They played more physical. They played like they wanted to be there. And the biggest reason they won this game was because of their defense. Every game it's going to be dependent on their defense, because we know Arkansas can have efficient offensive games. They've consistently put up good numbers offensively and good shooting numbers and low turnover rate. But what gets them over the hump from being a mediocre SEC team to one of the best teams in the conference, if not a top 10 team in the country, is their defense. And it's not just, hey, we're playing good defense, we get a rebound, let's go score. It's like intense defense, forcing live ball turnovers, and going down fast break points. Fast break points are the difference. That's what makes Arkansas so good. And when they can convert defense to offense, when they have those opportunities in the fast break, that's when they win a lot of basketball games, and that's when they look really impressive. And so as long as Arkansas can do that, they're in good shape. But it all starts with their defense. If their defense can force those turnovers, it creates opportunities for them in the fast break on offense. Now, they're a good enough team that they can survive some of these games without having good defense, like this LSU game coming up. But in the future, they're going to need it. They're going to need it. So there's my little tangent on defense. But they didn't need Knox. They didn't need Wagner. Hopefully those guys can come back, and I'll talk about that. I'll circle back to that in my last point. But they didn't need them. It was a fun win for the Razorbacks. But again, Mississippi State, not that good. I think they've lost 8 of their last 9. Coming into the season, they were a projected 8 seed in the NCAA tournament, so they were decent. Arkansas projected 5 seed, which is kind of where they're hanging out with right now. And then Mississippi State's kind of fallen off. They started 2-0 in the SEC and then has lost 8 of their last 9. So they're just not looking good right now. As I mentioned earlier, they have the potential to be good. I think they have the playmakers to be a good team. I think Chris Jans is a good coach there in Starkville, but they're just not good this year. They're just not, and they're not playing good basketball right now. So that's why I'm really excited that Arkansas won. But to me, it's more about, I watched that game and I wasn't like, man, Arkansas is really good. I have a lot more confidence in them now. And it was less about that, more like Mississippi State's not that good, and Arkansas is just doing a good job. They did a good job of taking advantage of the opportunities that Mississippi State couldn't, and the things that Mississippi State wasn't good at. And that's what Arkansas did well, and that's how they won this game. Now, final big point, is the future that scary with the injuries? Yes and no. And before I explain my reasoning here on these injuries, it's something that may seem scary to you when you have 2 of your best players out and you don't know when they're going to return. But as Coach Cal will tell you, he's been in this position before.
Playing a shorter rotation, I've done this before. I did it at UMass. We played 5-6 guys. I did it at Memphis. We played 5-6 guys. I did it at Kentucky. We played 5-6 guys. And guess what? Those teams were those teams that had a chance to do whatever they wanted. So if this is what it is, this is what it is. But it would be nice to have a full team.
Yeah, so the answer to my question is yes and no. Yes, let me start with the scary part of it. Yes, because it's 2 of your best players. It's not just like Paulo Semedo or Jared Carluetwa or whatever that guy's name is, bench warmers who never play. These are guys who are playing good minutes for Arkansas. These are guys who were starters last year. Did DJ come off the bench? Maybe at times he did. Carter Knox has the potential to be one of the best players on Arkansas's team, and he hasn't shown it this year. So yes, it's scary because I think DJ Wagner's good. I think he plays intense. I think he has a leadership role that is undervalued from a fan perspective, and he can still be a leader on the sideline and watching the game in the huddle and all those things. But it's different when he's out there, when he's playing. He also just gives some guys some rest, some minutes to sit on the bench and take a breather. So yes, it's scary because you don't have Wagner and you don't know when he's going to be back. Yes, it's scary because you don't have Carter Knox. I'm less worried about Carter Knox right now, honestly, because I'm like, man, does Arkansas really need him? I talked about on the show last week how he's just a body out there. He does nothing. He provides nothing, it feels like. Now, a few weeks from now, he could go off and score 25 points. That's the potential. That's the ceiling that Carter Knox has. But I don't know if he will. And I don't know if it's really that big of a deal that he's out. So it's a little bit scary. But the biggest reason I say no, that it's not scary, is what Coach Cal explained there. He's done it before in his coaching career. He'll tell you that multiple times. He's been in this position where guys have been injured and he's had to put together a team and just hope for the best and coach up those guys. Arkansas did that last year. It's exactly what happened last year. When Boogie Fland and Adu Thero got out because of injuries, what happened? Arkansas actually got better. They got better. They went on a little bit of a winning streak. They made it to March Madness, and they had a good run in March Madness. And that they did kind of have Boogie and Adu back, but it was, I'm pretty sure they weren't 100%. So it's weird because that's kind of similar to what's happening now. And it's just one game. So who knows? Like Boogie was out for a while, and so was Adu Thero. So I don't know how long these guys are going to be out. There's a lot of secrets behind this, and I guess I get it. That's the world we live in today. You don't want people to know which ankle you hurt, because then they're going to dive on that ankle. I don't know. But to me, it's not that scary to have both these guys out, because I saw Arkansas do it last year, and I trust John Calipari with my life. And so should you with this Arkansas basketball team to hopefully trend in the right direction, even without some of their key playmakers. All right, that's enough Arkansas basketball talk. Before we get to some other hoops from around our state, let's go to some softball. Arkansas opening up the softball season, and we'll talk about baseball on next week's show, as they'll open their season this weekend. But Arkansas opening their season this past weekend down in South Carolina in the Kickin' Chicken Classic. They went 4-1, so they did suffer their first loss of the season. Don't love that, but do love everything else besides that loss. They had that one loss, but then in their 4 wins, it was all run rule victories. A 17-1 win, a 9-1 win, an 11-1 win, and a 21-3 win. They played Akron, Virginia, Coastal Carolina. All those were wins. Their only loss was to Virginia. Virginia's a pretty good team. So when Arkansas started out the season, their first game in this Classic, and they won 17-1, that was pretty crazy, because it was a Cavaliers team that was receiving votes in the top 25. And obviously Arkansas is a good team. They're a top 10 team right now. But so were the Cavs. Arkansas destroyed them, and then they came right back and they got the best of Arkansas. But quickly, some good and some bad before we move on to basketball. The good, Taylor Timmerman, a top 10 recruit as a freshman. A top 10 recruit is a freshman this season. She looked good, 5 innings pitched, 0 earned runs. Of course, you got the normals that are back. Cam Harrison, Robin Herron, they looked good. Tiana Bell, a Cal transfer, one of the best transfers Arkansas softball has got out of the portal. 9 hits on 13 at-bats. That's a .692 batting average. That'll play Tiana Bell. That is very good. And then of course, they had the other players that we probably know if you watch this show last year: Ella McDowell, Cam Harrison, Carly Davison, Kaylee Wyckoff, Atalia Rijo, Kennedy Miller, Reagan Johnson. They've got all of those players back from last year's team. That's why when it was sickening to see Arkansas lose in the Super Regional last year, I think it was a Super Regional, maybe Regional. I think it was Super Regional. It was sickening to see that happen again, because it seems like it always happens. But you knew, or you figured, that all those players that were on last year's team, how young they were, and if they came back, they could be a good team. And a lot of them did. A lot of them did come back, and it's going to be a really fun team to watch this season. They did suffer that one loss. Peyton Burnham, maybe possibly to blame there if you want to put point fingers. Tough outing in her first start of the season against Virginia. But then she did respond in their last game in the Classic against Akron. So that's Arkansas softball. Let's move on to more basketball. We'll start with the men's side of things. Let's talk UCA. The men, how about 7 wins in a row for UCA? They didn't even have 7 wins at all last year in the conference play. They're getting some right now in the Atlantic Sun. They take down Lipscomb 86-78. They jumped out to a 10-0 lead. Cam Hunter has been sensational. He's had 30-plus points in 3 of the last 4 games for UCA. Cam Hunter is that guy. He's good. Dare I say he's better than Lane Taylor? Like, maybe not as flashy and it's like highlight reel plays, but he's putting up numbers that make him better than Lane Taylor, and that was their really good guard from last year. So Cam Hunter's been good. Cole McCormick, a career high off the bench, 21 points, 8 of 12 from the field. UCA led by as much as 19. Lipscomb kind of climbed back. It's a good Lipscomb team. Arkansas played this Lipscomb team earlier in the year. They're a good team, but UCA went to their place and they got the win, and that keeps them in second place. Second place. UCA men's basketball, second place in the Atlantic Sun standings. Only 1 game behind Austin Peay, who they'll play coming up here in a few weeks. All right, moving on to Arkansas State. A big win over Bowling Green. Big as far as like the margin of victory, not as far as like didn't mean much, because this was an out-of-conference game. This was the Sun Belt MAC Challenge. A-State wins 91-54. I'll take a 37-point win any day of the week. Christian Harmon was good, 18 points, 6 of 10. He only shot 3-pointers. Only shot 3-pointers did Christian Harmon, 6 of 10 from beyond the arc. Arkansas State rebounded well. Out-rebounded Bowling Green by 16. That's going to win you a lot of games. Back-to-back wins, so maybe they're trending in the right direction after, 4 losses in a row or something? You got to hope that they're trending in the right direction. But again, I'll say this like I will for the women's team. This was not a conference game. So if the Razorbacks are playing, that matters because, they're seeding in March Madness. Arkansas State doesn't really matter outside of their conference. The only way they can get into March Madness is if they win their conference tournament. So these games are fun. They don't really matter. But despite that, it's a fun win for Arkansas State. And now let's hear what head coach Ryan Pannone had to say after the game.
I thought our guys did obviously an amazing job. Last couple games, I think our defense has been really good. And to be able to click it with the offense was fantastic. And it's a great game just to show our guys, because Bowling Green is really good. And it's a great game to show our guys what we're capable of when we are able to execute on both ends of the floor. And tonight our guys moved the ball. They played really unselfish. The ball moved, and it's not by chance that we scored 91 by moving the ball. It's a probability that when the ball moves like that, everyone's going to eat, and everyone played unselfish.
All right, a couple more men's basketball scores before we get on to the women's side of things. The Little Rock falling to SIUE 71-61. We just mentioned the great winning streak for UCA. The opposite for Little Rock, that is their 6th loss in a row. They lose by 10 points to a pretty good SIUE team, but on their own home court, not the performance they want. They had 10 points the first 15 minutes. I was there for the first 8 minutes probably. They had 10 points in the first 15 minutes of the game. They scored 50 points in the last 25 minutes of the game. So do that math. That just doesn't – they got to find a way to start better and to share the ball better. It's ISO basketball. It's not team basketball. I understand they have injuries and they're missing some of their best players, but 6 assists in one game is not what you want. Jonathan Lawson, the lone bright spot, 18 points, 5 rebounds, but Little Rock suffers a loss at home. Meanwhile, UAPB, how about the Golden Lions taking down Alcorn 84-77, 4 wins in a row. They're in 2nd place in the SWAC. This was a team that was horrible last year, one of the worst teams in college basketball. But now they're one of the best teams in their conference this season, which is really exciting. They've got a big game coming up Monday night. Depending on when you're watching this, that game could be over with by now. But this game on Saturday, a nice win over Alcorn, making it 4 wins in a row. Queon Williams, 25 points. Jaquan Scott, 13 minutes. 13 points and 11 rebounds. Those are hard names to say. All of them are, but they're great players for UAPB. So hopefully they keep heading in the right direction on their win streak. Speaking of win streaks, let's head over to the women's basketball side of things. Arkansas State was rolling until they weren't. They fell to Eastern Michigan 76-73. They led for 86% of this game, so more than the majority of the game they were winning. They turned the Eagles over 20 times. They only had 10 turnovers themselves. They were looking good. All the stats backed them up on saying they should have won this game, except 3-point shooting. They were 9 of 41 from beyond the arc. They shoot a lot of 3-pointers. That's their game. But they missed a lot in this game. And shooting 41 3-pointers is insane. I mean, teams that we cover normally average 15 threes a game, maybe 20, maybe 25. 41 is just a lot. And they had this game won. They kind of just collapsed at the end. So they suffer a 3-point loss on the road to a not good Eastern Michigan team. But again, just like the men's Red Wolves team, this is an out-of-conference game. This is a fun little Sun Belt MAC challenge like that. All that's fun, but it's not going to matter. A-State's going to get to their conference tournament, and they're going to have to win maybe 2 games. They're on to March Madness. So this game doesn't matter. But it stinks that they lost, and hopefully they haven't been playing amazing lately, so hopefully they can change that and play better. Because I want to see them play better, especially heading into the conference tournament, to have more confidence that they can win those few games to make it to the NCAA tournament. Well, speaking of teams that are a little bit disappointing, Arkansas women's basketball suffering their 11th straight loss. I don't even want to spend time talking about the Lady Razorbacks, a 75-69 loss to Florida. The good news, if I have any, they kept it close in this game, and they've kept it close in some recent games, but still just so close, but still haven't been able to scratch out a win. Emily Robinson was great, 21 points. Talia Jones, 19 points. But Arkansas just doesn't take care of the ball. 19 turnovers for the Razorbacks in a loss to Florida. All right, UCA, the Bears take down Lipscomb 60-47, a 13-point win on their own home court. The Sugar Bears, not as good as they were last year, not as good as the men's team is. It's kind of flipped. Last year, the women's team was really good. The men's team was not. Now the men's team is pretty good. The women's team is just average, mediocre. I keep waiting for them to hit their stride. They haven't. Cheyenne Kemp was good in this game. Shea Littleford, they were awesome on defense. I mean, they pressed the heck out of Lipscomb, and that really helped them. 24 steals. They caused 35 turnovers. That's impressive. That is impressive defense against a Lipscomb team that I know is not amazing. That's to force 35 turnovers I haven't seen in all my 70 shows of doing Luttie's Look Back. That's right, it is the 70th show. But before I go on and finish up this show, let's hear from head coach Tony Kemper and what he had to say after UCA's win.
It's always good to win, and that's a win in a spot that we needed one. I think back-to-back games, our effort level and energy has been correct, more consistent, better frame of mind. We thought that maybe we were going to press them, and that proved to be the correct thing, and I thought we executed that really well. Obviously, they had a lot of problems with it, and it created enough turnovers that we had a lead we needed to ice the game.
All right, a couple more games before we wrap up today's show. Little Rock getting the win against SIUE at home, 73-64. It's kind of a steady win. They're up by 6 or 7, and then they stayed up by 6 or 7. We're up by 3, we're up by 9, and then go on to get the win by 9 points. So it's a good win for Little Rock at home against a relatively decent SIUE team. The Trojans now 8-6 in the OVC. Jordan Hallman, as always, was great, especially great on the boards. 14 rebounds for Hallman, 22 points, a great day for her. I have not done a show where anyone else leads the Trojans in scoring in a game from the past weekend than Jordan Hallman. Every time, it's Jordan Hallman. Every time, Jordan Hallman. Crazy. All right, UAPB. I barely talked about the women's basketball program at UAPB. And they're better than they have been. But this past weekend was a great win for them. Alcorn State only had 1 loss the entire season. You see behind me now they have 2. UAPB shocking Alcorn 64-60. The crazy thing was the Golden Lions were down by as many as 19 points in this game. Came all the way back, took the lead, lost it, took it back, and won the game. Jay LaPelli was great. She had I think 2 or 3 clutch 3-pointers in the third and fourth quarter to help UAPB come back in this game. Kanai Gardner was also good with her 15 rebounds and 4 steals. UAPB barely led for this game. They led for 4% of this game, but they came back to get the win. And now they're kind of middle of the line in the SWAC standings, but we'll take that. We will take that if you're a UAPB women's basketball fan. And Erica Leak in her 2nd season, heading in the right direction. So we like that. All right, finally, let's move on to my Lutties look ahead. It is baseball season, folks. It is baseball season. The Diamond Hogs facing off against Oklahoma State Friday, 7 o'clock in Arlington, Texas. Man, the Globe Life Classic is back. Baseball is back. If you can't figure it out, I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty excited. Arkansas and Oklahoma State. OSU not ranked. Razorbacks are. You see them anywhere from 9 to 5 probably as far as the rankings. Oklahoma State not. That doesn't mean they're not a good baseball team. I would expect Arkansas to win this game, and they'll face TCU, I think, and then maybe one other team in this Globe Life Classic. So always a fun one to get the season started with that one down in Texas. We'll see what this team is made of, because that's always a big weekend when Arkansas can figure out what their team is early on in the season. But the worst thing about it, it's on Flow TV, Flow College, whatever they call it now. You got to pay a stupid subscription for it. The good news is we'll have highlights, and we'll talk about it right here on THV11 next week. Well, we'll talk about on Lutties Look Back. I don't know if we can show you the highlights. Probably not. But we'll talk about it. I'll recap it. I'll give you some of the big points that I took away from a big weekend in Arkansas basketball. Arkansas baseball, softball will also be in action this upcoming Valentine's Day weekend. Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of Lutties Look Back. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you guys next week.